What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today's edition of Wayne's Perspective is going to be a tribute to the late, great Russell Jones, better known to all of us as Old Dirty Bastard, ODB. I'm going to talk about his 1995 debut, Return to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version. And before I get started, I just want to give a brief moment of silence for Mr. Jones, Mr. ODB. Continue to rest in peace, Mr. Jones, Mr. ODB, Mr. Old Dirty Bastard, Mr. Dirt McGirt, all those names we know you by. You are missed to this day. Today's video is going to be a very good one. Like I said, I'm going to talk about ODB's 1995 debut, Return to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version. It was released 30 years ago today, March 28th, 1995. And it's still remarkable that all this time has went by. Time didn't go by fast like that back in the day, but it's damn sure going by these days. But 30 years, man, that's something else. Like most of you know, I'm a longtime Wu-Tang fan, so anytime I get to talk about my crew, I'm always in a good mood. And on that note, I hope everybody is doing okay out there, taking every day one day at a time, living life the best way you know how. And me, I'm in a very good mood, as you can see. I'm also taking every day one day at a time, living life the best way I know how as well. Like most of you listening to this, the first time I heard ODB was on another classic album that would be Wu-Tang Clan's debut album, Into the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. And there may have been a couple of questionable lines, but make no mistake about it, every verse that he dropped on that album was memorable. Next thing you know, it was time for his solo album. Method Man got the ball rolling in 1994 with his classic debut album, Tikal. So we head right to 1995 and we get ODB's debut album. So he was second in line. And also, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, and I'm pretty sure I did. 1995 has always been and will always be my favorite year in hip hop history. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and get the screen shared here. Previously on my channel, when I did hip hop album reviews, I would do highlights and lowlights, but I think in the interest of time, I'll just go ahead and not only review the album, but I'm going to dissect it track by track. And this is courtesy of my medium.com page. And if you haven't checked out my page with all my hip hop album reviews that I transferred over from my blogger page, be sure to do so. That is www.medium.com/@ WDM625. That's medium.com/@ WDM625. And as we can see right here, this is the front and back of the album cover. And this was different at the time. And as I go into my thoughts, I just want to read this a little bit verbatim. What I say here is that, needless to say, this album cover is one of the most unorthodox, unique covers in hip hop history. And you definitely wouldn't see anything like this in today's hip hop world. I feel one reason for this cover was for the late ODB to show the world he was different and wasn't ashamed of himself and where he came from. And he certainly had my respect for that. I also note that ODB was not a lyricist in any form. He probably would have told you that himself. However, he was entertaining as hell, sometimes for the right and wrong reasons. Plus, he could flow when he had to. Although I never listened to hip hop for a comedic fix, one thing ODB did better than anyone else at the time was make people laugh. And to this day, when I bump this album, I laugh at some of those moments. Also, one of my cousins initially had this on tape back in the day. I can't recall if I borrowed that from him or not, but eventually I would end up getting my own cassette version. And then from there, I had the CD version. I think over the years, I bought this album maybe 3 or 4 times. So it's been in my collection for years. And I'm debating as to whether I want to get a brand new copy of it just because, but it's been in my collection since I initially got it on CD back in the day. And like I mentioned earlier, this was released on March 28th, 1995. And let's go ahead and get into the album, shall we? I note here that this intro starts things off on a funny note. When I first heard him say, "Let me introduce myself. My name is Mr. Russell Jones." At the time, I had no idea that was his real name, so it had me cracking up, thinking he was making the name up. I still laugh when I listen to it today, and I'm pretty sure most of y'all listening to this probably still laugh too. That was probably one of the more funnier intros that you'll ever hear. And towards the end, he says, I'm just kidding with y'all. How y'all feeling? Listen to the album because it's banging. And we're going to get into that right now. Next up, we have Shimmy Shimmy Y'all, produced by the RZA. And I just want to make this clear as well. The RZA produced all of the songs on this album except where noted. And I'm going to note that as we continue to take a look at this classic album. This right here, that's a cover of the single right there. This bring back memories because one of my aunts had this single on cassette. And every time I listened to it, I just couldn't wait until I got the album on my own. But this right here, Shimmy Shimmy Y'all, is a classic. And y'all know that memorable piano opening. Followed by the beat drop. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yam, shimmy, yay. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Off on a natural charge, bon voyage. Yeah, from the home of the Dodger Brooklyn squad. I mean, hey, classic right there. I mean, it is so memorable. And that was one of the best songs in 1995. Definitely one of the most memorable songs of that year. And if you throw that on today, 30 years later, I guarantee you're going to pack the dance floor. Hell, when I listen to it, my head always bobs because it's such a classic song. And even though the song title may be silly, like I note here, this was a hit in 1995. And since then, all it does is just instantly take me back to that moment in time in my life when every time I heard it, I just went crazy. And I still go crazy today. And you can't do nothing but nod your head and sing along when the hook comes on and all of the other memorable lines in this song too. Great stuff. And the video was equally great too. 5 out of 5 for this one. Now, I got the video right here, and even though it is fair usage, I'm not going to play it because I don't want to get a copyright strike. Next up, we have Baby Come On, another classic produced by the RZA. I note here, I love it. I also love the great video along with Shimmy Shimmy Y'all at the beginning of it. And two of the most memorable parts of this song are the end of the first verse. That's why you gotta do what you got to do. Come on. Can I get a Wu-Tang? Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang is on the brain. I guess Riggy Diggy Raw when it's time to get on the dance floor, shotgun, kill the shit. Bow, then you won't step to me. Thinking, is it really wrong as he said he may? If I wasn't really wrong, standing here on the floor, you'd be like, boo, he ain't hardcore. I mean, my goodness, man. Do not get me started over here, y'all. Classic. I love this, man. At the end of the song, when he says, I'm going to give it to you, baby, baby. And then he gets to that third baby. From there, it extends itself. And I don't want to extend it over here because I don't want to lose my voice. And I definitely don't want to run out of breath or anything like that. But he did it, man. And it also left you wondering if he ran out of breath himself doing it or not. But either way, great stuff here. 5 out of 5. Next up, we have another classic, Brooklyn Zoo, produced by True Master, co-produced by ODB. This is another banger. This lyrically may be his best song ever, and this is another 5 out of 5. Now, I have an interesting story about this. Let me take you back to when I was in the 5th grade. At this point, I was 10 years old. And those of you listening to this, if you grew up in Petersburg, Virginia, like I did, there was a station called WPLZ, Magic 99. Man, just mentioning that brings back memories. But and one of the well-known DJs who worked there was named Jimin Jam Holiday. I believe that was his name. But at any rate, he had came to our school one day. And to this day, none of us still know why he was there. And it surprised most of us because we always thought that this guy was black. But no, this was a tall, skinny white man. And we was in the cafeteria one day because they had the cafeteria and the auditorium in the same space. So he was talking to us about the future, if my memory serves me correct, as well as how he got into music and all of that. And keep in mind, this was 30 years ago. So then one of my classmates, I'm not going to call his name. Then again, I'm not sure if he's listening to this or not. I had some scuffles with this dude, but overall, he was still cool. So he was talking to Mr. Holiday and he asked a question or made a comment. And then next thing you know, he was like, my classmate I'm talking about, he was like, well, how about you get Wayne to DJ? Cause see y'all, even at this point, everybody knew what type of hip hop fan I was. I was always talking about hip hop. I had my tapes. Most of the time I was recording stuff off the radio. I had my Source magazines. I had Right On magazine, Word Up, you name it. I was a hip hop head at the age of 10. Continuing on. Mr. Holiday, he was like, "Where's Wayne? Where's Wayne?" And I raised my hand. And I can't recall what he said to me after the fact, but this part I do remember. He said, "How many of you all out there think Wayne is all that?" And none of my classmates raised their hand. And I was like, man, look at this. And not even a girl that I had a crush on, not even she raised her hand. And I was in my feelings a little bit, but I let it go. After that, he pulled me to the side and pretty much was like, "Call the station one day and talk to me. Let's have a little conversation or whatever. Maybe you could rap to me or something like that." A short time after that, I did call the station and he had a few minutes in between what he was doing. And I did rap to him, but it wasn't something off the top of my head. I actually rapped a few bars of this Brooklyn Zoo song. And I told him that the name of the song was Coming At You. I still laugh at that to this day because I'm pretty sure he knew that that wasn't something off the top of my head. He just probably wanted to engage me and go from there. It was a real memorable moment, something that I still talk about to this day. I guarantee you my mom don't remember that, but I do, just like I remember everything else. But like I said, this song here is a banger. And speaking of bangers, check this out, y'all. I'm the one man army A song. I never been tooken out. I keep MCs looking out. I drop signs like girls be dropping babies, enough to make a nigga go crazy. In the G building, taking all types of medicines. Your ass thought you were better than A song. I keep playing this in orbit while I be coming with deeper and more shit. Enough to make you break, you shake your ass as I create. Rhyme good as a tasty cake. Makes this style I mastered in. Niggas catch your heads. Well, what? You need aspirin? This type of pain you couldn't even kill with Midol. Fuck around, get sprayed with Lysol. In your face like a can of mace, baby. Is it burning? Well, fucking now you're learning how. I don't even like your motherfucking profile. Give me my fucking shit. Blah. That's seen and heard. No one knows, you forget. Niggas be quiet as kept. Now you know nothing before you know a whole fucking lot. Your ass don't want to get shot. A lot of MCs came to my showdown and watch me put your fucking ass low down as you can go below zero. Without a doubt, I never been taken out by a nigga who couldn't figure. Yo, by a nigga who couldn't figure. Yo, by a nigga who couldn't figure how to pull a fucking gun trigger. So get the fuck out of here. Niggas want to get too close, do the utmost, but I got stacks that'll attack any West Coast. Introducing your fuck that nigga's name. My hip hop drops on your head like rain. And when it rains, it pours, cause my rhymes hardcore. That's why I give you more of the raw time that I got will reside the spot. MCs I be burning hot. Whoa ho ho, let me like slow with the flow. If I move too quick, oh, you just don't know. I'm homicidal when you enter the target. Nigga get up like a pig, try to hog shit. So I take your ass out quick. The mic's ahead of my nigga. You can suck, but dang. If you want to step to my motherfucking rep, blown to death. You got shot cause you knock. Who's there? Another motherfucking hard rock. Slacking on your macking cause raw's what you lack. You want to react? Bring it on back. Shame on you when you step through to the old dirty bastard, Brooklyn Zoo. Shame on you when you step through to the old dirty bastard, Brooklyn Zoo. Brooklyn Zoo. What? Classic. And I still to this day know that off the top of my head, y'all. I love that song. And like I said, probably lyrically, that may be his best song ever if we talking about solo spots. Next up, we go to another RZA produced joint, Hipper to the Hopper. I said this joint is a trip right here. Not only does RZA's beat absolutely knock, but ODB is just hilarious on this one. And then one of the funniest and dirty, pun intended, lines I've ever heard on a hip hop record. He says, and I quote, "I keep my breath smelling like shit so I can get funky." That line has not aged well. Either way, I give this one a 4 out of 5. Let's continue on with the hits. We got Rawhide, produced by the RZA, featuring Meth and Raekwon. Let's see, ODB being himself, a tight verse by Ray, a show-stealing verse by Meth, all over another tight RZA production. Classic if you ask me. Move 'em in, move 'em in, move 'em out, stick it up. Psh, psh, Rawhide. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Next up, we have Damage featuring GZA, another joint produced by the RZA, co-produced by Fourth Disciple. And speaking of Fourth Disciple, I always thought he was an underrated producer, just like True Master. He's another underrated one as well, because they always came with some dope beats. They weren't better than the RZA, but as far as like a number 2 and a number 3 respectively, when it came to being behind the boards for Wu stuff, it was them two. The average person may say that GZA probably ran lyrical circles around ODB on this one, but surprisingly, I don't think I should have put surprisingly because it wasn't. Not only does ODB hold his own on this track, but this is another one where he shows he could flow when it's time. I always knew that this song was dope, even though it's a short one, but I appreciate it more and more these days because not only is it dope, but GZA and ODB has some dope ass chemistry on this one, followed by some equally dope lines. And some of my favorites in here, of course, the one about the jet black kid speaking Spanish. Yo, he wasn't from Panama. I asked him why he gets so dark. The nigga said, son, Panama. He responded so fast, he made me laugh. Ha 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 ha. And I scared his ass. I love that line. Another one of my favorites is, I watch your ass take a big fall. Why? My main source is like a friendly game of stickball. And then, of course, another one of my favorite lines here. I come strong, I make Nas born, I flip the script and rock on for PM past the fucking dawn. Oh my God, man. They killed this joint. Love it, love it, love it. And I give it 4 out of 5. It's an incredible song. And like I said, they do have some dope chemistry. And look at what I put right here. I got to up this one to a 4.5 out of 5. If it was a little bit longer and maybe with Inspector Deck coming through with a verse, the full Monty rating would have been applicable here. And the full Monty rating is 5 out of 5. Next up, we have the Killah Priest feature, Don't You Know? This was produced by RZA. And ODB is telling a story from the perspective of a kid in high school coming up in a sexually charged environment. And I get this one 3.5 out of 5. It's more for laughs, but it's still a good song. Of course, can't forget at the beginning, there was this girl who was checking them out. And then her friend just pretty much was telling her stay away because there was no visual redeeming value in ODB. I'm just sitting right in the class at 9:45, right? Waiting patiently for the class to begin, right? Teacher said, open up your text and read the first paragraph on oral sex. I said, oral sex? What kind of class is this? Girl next to me said, what's wrong with you, miss? Man. Great stuff here. Next up, we have The Stomp, produced by the RZA, co-produced by ODB. Another banger right here, something that'll get you hyped even when you don't want to be. I gave this one 4 out of 5. It gets the job done. Next up, Going Down, produced by the RZA. Decent song, sort of getting you ready for the next hilarious song. I think I may give this one a 4 out of 5. Granted, ODB isn't rapping on there too much, but it's another one where the production is just incredible. And I'm going to have a little bit more to say about the production towards the end of this video as well. But the song, I like it. And speaking of hilarious, that brings us to Drunk Game, Sweet Sugar Pie, produced by ODB and Ethan Ryman. I note here, oh man, this joint is hilarious. ODB trying to sing has to be heard to be appreciated or laughed at, I guess. And chances are you'll probably laugh at it because at the beginning when he's singing, he's all off beat. He's half soulful. You can't do nothing but laugh at him. I don't think he meant to be serious with this one, like I know, as his sole purpose was to entertain the audience, and he did that on this song. And let me go to this part right here. I also read a review, which was on rapreviews.com, where the writer suggested that ODB sounded like he was having an actual orgasm during the recording. And I also said I'll let you form your own conclusions on that. And I was listening to it today, and it's kind of hard to tell because either he was having an orgasm during the actual recording or he was damn good at making you think he was having one. For sheer comedic purposes, I gotta bump this one up to a 4 out of 5 rating. The dopeness continues on this album because we go to Snakes, produced by the RZA, featuring the RZA, Master Killer, Killah Priest, and Buddha Monk. I still can't determine who had the best verse on this song between RZA, Master Killer, or Killah Priest, but rest assured all three of them kill this dope track, and by the time ODB comes on at the end, and I'm gonna talk about that, it's a little too late for him to do any damage to this track. He tried though. And speaking of this track, Jagged edge, rock-headed guard, hard as Stonehenge. He pledged you ever cross his path, get scrapped with a sledge hammer. He didn't give a damn about the manner. And on the block, he was called by the mamas and the grandmas indecent, heathen, juvenile delinquent. His weekends was frequently locked inside the precinct. His most recent cape for catching papes was snatching up snakes on the roof, butt naked, hang them off like drapes. When that was the combination to the safe with the brace, and those who didn't fly, they fell straight to their face. Razor blade sharp who invades the dark, invade more spots than spades and knocks, iron heart like Tony Stark's, a fierce lion, never leave the crib without the iron, and on the block he be slinging rocks and ducking from the sirens, greed niggas he loved with a pound and a bear hug, those who want a life that catch a slug from the snub, a 5%, all he knew was 1 to 10, loved the God with his heart, but his brain was filled with sin, and when he came through, niggas be looking out, hoping you get shot or taken out, or like the fuck up at Brooklyn House on PC on a liquid diet, but he was loud in a riot. RZA killed that. That right there is one of his best verses. He killed that joint. And speaking of killing this joint, that brings me to Master Killer and his verse. Such an incredible verse. Yo, do the knowledge to a nigga named Trigger. Bad rude boy from the lands of Jamaica with visions to venture to the U.S. to receive the gold that he couldn't achieve in his country. Even though he sold mad weed for the next man who was the don of the clan. Niggas acting like they got the block locked. Like I can't sling drug raps and eat food, but I be the rudest. Bad boy stepping, gun toting, shots lash out like a violent explosion at the nigga who tries to stop my production, intervene the scene and slow up the cream. None of that black East New York gun talk. Niggas I start from Baltic to Boardwalk, memories of injuries, wounds, and burns. Walking through the streets of Medina, I stand firm cause I know this, which means I can hold mine down without a doubt. Niggas who front get snuffed out. Justice must be born. There's no escape cause a snake can't be reformed, so why wait? Coming in the name to proclaim your fame for protection, and you don't know no fucking lessons? Man, Master Killer kills it. Sheesh. And then ODB comes in. Bad Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole damn town, better than the deep blue sea, better than you and me. I'm like, ODB. Killah Priest, RZA, and Master Killer came with dope verses, and you briefly interrupted the flow with that verse. Come on now. But it's all good though. And Buddha Monk, he just came in at the end and spit a little something. But rest assured, RZA, Master Killer, and Killah Priest, they own this joint. I want to get us a 5 out of 5, but due to ODB's verse, I got to put it at 4.5 out of 5 and take a few points off there. But either way, it's still a dope song. Next up, we have Brooklyn Zoo 2 Tiger Crane featuring Ghostface Killah, produced by the RZA. I note here, ODB seemingly drunk on this track just incoherently recites the first verse from the song Damage, sometimes starting the verse over as soon as he starts it, all until Ghost comes in and just rips everything to shreds. Initially, I gave this a 3 out of 5, mostly because of Ghostface's verse, but I went back and upped it to a 4 out of 5. It's a dope song, and like I said, Ghostface just rips everything to shreds. And speaking of ripping everything to shreds, that brings us to number 14, which is Protect Your Neck 2, The Zoo, produced by the RZA, also featuring Lord Buddha Monk, Shorty Shitstain. What a weird name that was. Zookeeper, Murdoch, 12 O'Clock, Prodigal Son, Killah Priest, and 60-Second Assassin. Initially, I did not like this song, but take a look at what I said afterwards. When I initially did this review, I said that never mind the fact that Shorty Shitstain is possibly one of the worst names for an artist in all the history of music, or that this shouldn't have been named Protect Your Neck 2. The only thing that saves this is RZA's track, and I initially gave this a 2.5 out of 5. I did not have an issue with them naming this Protect Your Neck 2 The Zoo because it wasn't trying to be a sequel to Protect Your Neck. This was ODB's version of Protect Your Neck, hence the song title. And when I went back and revisited this in 2023 and did my updated review, I note not only did I underrate this back in 2014 when I did the initial review, but this song is unapologetically raw and energetic, and it's hard to ignore. Everyone bought the Shaolin style goods over a dope RZA production. I love this beat. Also, not only did I have this album on repeat a lot in 2023, courtesy of Spotify, I played this song a whopping 25 times, 4.5 out of 5. I love this song, man. We continue things on with Cutting Heads featuring the RZA and produced by the RZA. I note here that ODB and RZA had some fun on this track, even with a title like Cutting Heads, and you can tell that as you listen to it. I give it 3 out of 5. Now, for those of you who had the cassette, your album ends right here. For those of you who had the CD, we get 2 bonus tracks. I'm still a sucker for bonus tracks, might I add. The first of 2 bonus tracks is Dirty Dancing featuring Method Man, produced by the RZA. This song is very good, mostly due to Meth completely stealing the show again and RZA's banger of a track. Mizza, my name is the old dirty bastard. My game will kick your ass. Y'all know I know it. I note here 3.5 out of 5. That's because it's so short. If it was a little bit longer, I would have gave it a 4 out of 5. But as it stands, it's a 3.5 out of 5. And last, we have Harlem World. And I know here, even back then and now, I have no idea who the hell Big Door is. And with that said, the song is totally forgettable, and it clearly should not have made this album. 1 out of 5, clearly the worst song on the album, and I have no desire to ever listen to it again. And with that, we come to the end of the review. I note here, overall, during Wu-Tang's peak, they were on top of the world, and this release was unique across the board, but still incredibly dope. What you heard and saw with ODB was what you got, and judging by the success of this album and the fact that it still holds up today, he delivered. And as I mentioned before, I don't listen to hip hop for a comedic fix, but hot damn, ODB still makes me laugh to this day when I listen to some of the songs on this album. But make no mistake about it, when it was time to get serious, he was on it. And lastly, the majority of RZA's production fit ODB so well, and you can feel it as you listen to it. And I give it 4.5 stars, 4.5 mics. They the same thing. An incredible album across the board. I love it. It still holds up today. It's a classic, y'all. And also, one of my favorite Source magazine issues I still have, which would be the Year of 95 in Hip Hop issue. They named this album as one of the best albums from that year, and they named ODB as one of the best artists of the year. And I have the magazine in my hand right now. What they said at the time was, "Old Dirty Bastard. Initial reaction upon hearing Brooklyn Zoo, that motherfucker's crazy, that motherfucker's a genius. In 95, the Wu-Tang harmonizing psychopath thrust his nutty persona right up to hip-hop's collective grill. Brooklyn Zoo was one of a scarce handful of joints that made you want to shake something real hard. The ODB's full-length piece, Return to the 36 Chambers, was similarly twofold. Something to scratch at the head and the inevitable question, is money on some next shit or just on some shit? No matter the answer, ODB left a definitive mark on hip-hop in the 9 fever. Brooklyn Zoo. Yes, indeed. And with that, my friends, we come to the end of this video. Like I said, rest in peace, ODB. You will be missed. I give mad props to him and everybody else who created this. It still holds up today. It's a classic in every sense of the word. Even though it's not 5 mics, it's still up there. Definitely one of the best albums of 95. What more can I say? And on that note, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. If you like what you heard and you're ready to become part of Team Discipline, go ahead and hit that like button and drop some comments if you're feeling the content. And of course, let me know your thoughts on this album 30 years later. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button along with the bell so you're notified when I drop new videos. And until next time, my people, take care of yourselves and remember, Brooklyn Zoo.